There are two types of energy resources. There are non-renewable, which are things that can't be renewed or replenished or built up again within a human's lifetime. And those things include like gasoline, which we put in our cars, or coal, which people burn for fuel, etc. Renewable resources are types of energy that can be renewed or that are always available, like getting energy through solar lights, which would be coming from the sun, or wind power. So today we're going to focus specifically on non-renewable energy resources. If you look just at the word non-renewable, non means not, renewable means that it can be replenished or rebuilt up or reused. Non-renewable is something that's not used again. Once you use it, it's gone. So by the end of this lesson, you are going to know about non-renewable energy resources. Once you finish the video, you're then going to want to go to the Google form that was posted under today's date and complete the multiple choice and a couple short answer and submit when finished. So let's get started. Most energy sources are non-renewable, meaning they are used up faster than natural processes can replace them within a human time scale. So they can't be made in a couple days or made again. Most types of non-renewable sources take millions of years to form. Our first type is fossil fuels. Fossil fuels include things like oil, natural gas, and coal, which are formed from the remains of plants and animals that were buried and chemically changed millions of years ago. So it takes a really long time in order for fossil fuels to be made. Coal is the most abundant type of fossil fuel. It's a rock, specifically a sedimentary rock, that contains at least 50% plant remains. So once plants die, they then get laid on the ground. Eventually, they may become buried. And over millions of years, they then turn into coal, which is a type of sedimentary rock. Oil is that thick black liquid hydrocarbon. Sometimes it's also called petroleum. This is formed from the buried remains of many microscopic or really tiny marine or ocean organisms or living things. So oil, when they drill and dig for oil, they usually have oil rigs out in the oceans, drilling deep into the ocean floor to extract or pull out the oil that we need in order to drive our cars and our school buses, etc. So here we have a picture of coal. It's black and shiny. You may have heard when you were kids that you're going to be getting coal in your stocking if you're being bad from Santa. So coal is a shiny black rock that's made from when plants decay and break down and change over millions of years. To get coal, you have to do mining and drilling and digging and going deep into the earth, which really cuts up the earth. You have lots of big trucks in mining industries. They burn fossil fuels at the same time, using up that energy, etc. So here are some miners a long time ago. You can see they used horses and pulley cars, but nowadays in mines they use gas-powered things to transport underneath the earth. Those miners then go down a couple miles deep into the earth. Mining is extremely dangerous. They mine in the town of Fowler outside of Gouverneur. They mine for the minerals zinc and talc, but they do go a mile or two below the earth's surface down into the ground to pull out those minerals and items. So really, when they're mining for those fossil fuels, a big thing for oil is to drive our cars. We pump gasoline into our cars a couple times a week or into the school buses. You put it in your four-wheelers and your dirt bikes and your jet skis. These are non-renewable resources. Remember, non-renewable means that you can't renew it. It doesn't just form overnight. It takes millions of years. So what we use right now, today, is not going to be replenished for us within our lifetime. It'll take a lot longer than that. Here is a picture of an oil rig out in the middle of the ocean, because remember, Oil comes from marine creatures that die and then break down. Over millions of years, it turns into oil. So they have to go out in the middle of the ocean and dig down into the ocean to pull up that oil. And then here is a nuclear power plant. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. Very pretty picture with lots of lights and that beautiful sky behind it. We're going to be figuring out what nuclear gas and energy comes from. So another type of fossil fuel is natural gas. This is a type of hydrocarbon or a type of fossil fuel that comes from hydrogen and carbon combined that forms with oil, but it forms above the oil in the earth because it's a very lighter molecule. Fossil fuels, they are removed from the ground through mining and pumping, and our current reserves or storage of those fossil fuels is decreasing rapidly. Scientists all over the world are really trying to figure out, what are we going to do if we run out, or how can we prevent us from running out? How can we power our cars differently? You may have heard of the electric cars that run by being plugged in to an energy source and gaining energy that way through a battery. People have solar lights, etc. So scientists are working on trying to figure out how to power what we need without using those fossil fuels. Another type, like I showed you earlier, is nuclear energy. This is an alternative energy source. It's produced by what's called fission, or the splitting of uranium atoms. Uranium is an element on the periodic table, and it's considered non-renewable. Nuclear power plants, what's kind of scary about them is that they produce highly radioactive nuclear waste, which has to be stored somewhere and then contained for at least 10,000 years before it's safe to even handle. So nuclear power plants, if they were to erupt, can lead to major damage. So here is a map of electricity production from natural gas. So you can see that the United States right here uses 20.9 to 26.7% of people in the United States use natural gas, when places in Africa like this one use higher percentages, like 91 to 100%. So it does vary throughout the world. Here's another nuclear power plant. This symbol right here stands for nuclear power. It is dangerous. There's lots of protocols for people that work there, but it is a way that energy can be generated. So those mineral resources that we get out of the earth, there are many deposits or groups of minerals deep within the earth, like metals. And these deposits do exist in the earth in quantities large enough to extract, which also uses energy. So any of those mining processes going deep down in the earth to get the minerals and the fossil fuels out takes a lot of energy themselves. So to get the energy out, it takes a lot of energy, I guess is the way to put it. There are non-metallic mineral resources, which are any material that's not used as fuel or as a source of a metal, such as like sandstone, which is used to make glass, so like glass windows. Halite, which is a mineral which is used for table salt or salt that you put on your food. Garnet is another that's used in sandpaper. They also mine for other things like aggregates or stones for concrete. Gypsum, which is used in plaster and drywall when you're building houses. And lots of stones are mined for, like granite, limestone, and sandstone. Granite can be used for things like countertops, etc. So many things that we pull out of the earth are non-renewable, which means that they do not just replenish themselves. So when they pump out oil out of the ocean, that oil is gone forever. It then gets put into a car and it never gets returned. Oil will replenish, but it will take millions of years, which is getting to be kind of an issue because there are about 9 billion people on the planet using all of these resources. So they're trying to figure out ways to stop using those kinds of resources and use ones that are renewable or that replenish themselves, like the sun and wind. Thinking of the mineral resources, these are all different kinds of minerals. Next year, when you have me in 7th grade, we're going to actually get our hands on all of these minerals and take a look at them. But those are things that they mine for. And here are some other minerals. They're metallic minerals, which are really shiny and beautiful. And then we have non-metallic minerals that don't stand out as much as the other ones. But we will take a look at all of those resources next year. Now, the thing to keep in mind is non-renewable means that it is not going to be replenished within our human lifetime. It takes millions of years for that resource to be created again. And we get those resources from mining, which is also a process that uses lots of non-renewable resources. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to email me at